All right. Wake up, y'all. Wake up, everybody. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. It's the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John, right here live on 99.1 FM, 99 Jams the Bird. We also live on Facebook.com/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. If you online, you can actually listen online, www.99jamsthebird.com, and you can actually get it online. And again, if you need to leave from in front of your computer and jump into your car, you can actually do that. And once you get in the car, you go to 99 Jams, WUJM. And we got Arif Hassan all the way from Liberia. I see Robin Wynn. Thank you for tuning in. Greetings, peace, and blessings to you. Thank you for tuning in to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. This program is being brought to you as part of the New Image Project of the Community Development and Training Center, a.k.a. CDAT. And we would like to thank y'all for tuning in to help us to redefine what's cool. We got a great program lined up for you this morning, a wonderful presentation. We actually have a senior program manager from Duke Energy is going to be joining us after the top of the hour to talk about this new underground Powerline program that they got going on, and the reason why they coming knocking on our doors asking people about putting power lines underground in the neighborhood. And so we want to talk about that. It's also What's on Your Mind Wednesday. So make sure that you give us a call, y'all. Give us a call for What's on Your Mind Wednesday. And there was something that I saw, a video. I'm sure most of you all saw it probably by now. It was somewhat viral. It was a viral video of a man was bringing his son some breakfast. I mean, some lunch rather. He brought him some McDonald's, and when he brought the McDonald's, apparently the woman has 4 children, and one of them is his. And so he brought McDonald's for his son only. And she was, having a fit, basically giving him the business, saying that, he was disrespectful. He was wrong because he didn't bring enough food for the other children. And so that's the question that we're going to ask. Who was right? Who was wrong for What's on Your Mind Wednesday? Was the man wrong for just bringing food to his son, or was he wrong for not, getting food for everybody else? Or was he right in what he did? Was the mom wrong for putting him on blast and basically taking the food and throwing it in the street because he didn't bring enough for the other children? Let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Tell us what's on your mind for What's on Your Mind Wednesday. But give us a call and let us know what you're thinking. That's the question that we have. And if you want to answer that question or anything that's on your mind, feel free to give us a call and engage with the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. It's 727-637-2416. All right. So what's good? Y'all know what's good. It's all good. Things always seem to work out for good, even if they ain't good in the moment. And so, when you have the right kind of perspective, the right attitude, of course, when you don't lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways, you acknowledge the creator, the most high, and really believe and do good, things work out for good. And so that's what's good, man. Just continue to believe, have faith, and do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And don't do what you're not supposed to do when you're not supposed to do it. And it's all good. This day in history. So today is June 29th. It is the 180th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. And on this day, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London, England, burned down during a performance of Henry VIII. South Africa began implementing apartheid, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed the U.S. Senate. So it didn't pass everywhere, but it actually passed the Senate. And also today is National Camera Day and National Hug Holiday. Not Thug Holiday, Hug Holiday. And so if you got somebody you love, give them a hug. And I see Royce, he commented, he said, bruh, in hindsight, it's best to just bring groceries like granddaddy used to do. Let her cook and just go home. I know that's right, bro. He I feel you on that. Hindsight is 2020, man. So no, I appreciate you commenting on that. So again, today is National Camera Day. And so take a picture, post it, and use hashtag National Camera Day. And then also Hug Holiday. give somebody you love a hug, but still remember, Corona is real. That stuff's still going around out there. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're right, Royce. He said we shouldn't be bringing kids McDonald's anyway. Here, go get some spaghetti sauce and noodles. I know that's right. Get a whole bag of groceries. Bring the whole bag, man. Come on, stop playing. And look, you ain't got to worry about what you're gonna eat tomorrow when you do it like that. Also on this day in 1972, the Supreme Court strikes down the death penalty. And so, in the case of Furman versus Georgia, the U.S. Supreme Court rules by a 5-4 vote that capital punishment, as it was currently being employed in the state, on the state and federal level, is unconstitutional. The majority held that in violation of the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution, the death penalty qualified as cruel and unusual punishment, primarily because the states employed the execution in arbitrary and capricious ways, especially when it's regarding race. Well, I tell you, I just got to stop and say it, man. Like when you talk about America and and, and you talk about racism, like it's just interesting. Like everything in America, in some ways, race is going to come up, right? It's like so embedded and so rooted in the foundation of this nation. And so much so, I saw that somebody posted that when you attack racism, because it's so embedded in the American way, people feel like you're actually attacking America. But you're not attacking America, you're attacking racism. And racism is like just baked all in and out throughout the cake. And that's another one of the things that we see with this particular case. And so it says again that in 1972, the Supreme Court struck down the death penalty. In Furman versus Georgia, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled by a 5-4 decision that capital punishment, as it was currently employed at that time on the state and federal level, is unconstitutional. The majority held that in violation of the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution, the death penalty qualified as cruel and unusual punishment, primarily because states employed execution in arbitrary and capricious ways, especially in regards to race. It was the first time that the nation's highest court had ruled against capital punishment. However, because the Supreme Court suggested new legislation that could make death sentences constitutional again, such as the development of standardized guidelines for juries that decide sentences, it was not an outright victory for people who were opposing the death penalty. Good morning, Mama Blue. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. And so it wasn't an outright victory because basically what they did was they saying that right now, as it's being practiced, it's cruel and unusual punishment, but they gave them an out to restart it by having some standards around the way that they sentence people to death, by standardizing the guidelines for juries and other recommendations that the court made. And then in 1976, with 66% of Americans still supporting capital punishment, the Supreme Court acknowledged progress made in jury guidelines and then reinstated the death penalty under the model of guided discretion. In 1997, Gary Gilmore, who was alleged to be a career criminal who had murdered an elderly couple, allegedly, because they would not lend him their car. He was the first person to be executed since the end of the ban, defiantly facing a firing squad in Utah. So this was in 1977. They had a firing squad in Utah, and they put Mr. Gilmore in front of the firing squad. And Gilmore's last words to his executioners before they shot him in the heart were, "Let's do it." Shout out to Mr. Gilmore. But yeah, I wonder if they still shooting and killing people by firing squad. You know what I mean? Like how are they doing these executions now? I know I saw something that was happening with um, the execution by lethal injection. They was challenging that too because they were saying that it may constitute cruel and unusual punishment because of the way that the drugs are mixed and the concoction is made, or the impact that it has, or something like that, y'all. But yeah, that's what happened. One of the things that happened on this day in history. And so, yeah, you're listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club on WUJM 99.1 FM, 727-637-2416 is what's on your mind Wednesday. Give us a call. Again, we do have a guest that will be joining us later on in the program at the top of the hour, so y'all stick around for that. And let's talk about it. And also, what I'm seeing here in the headlines, y'all, I see Angela Brown. Good morning. How are you? Supreme Court sides with the high school coach over the 50-yard line prayers. The justice's decision, man, the Supreme Court just like been all over the news, right? With these decisions that they're handing out. I think they still have a few more cases that they're hearing. Of course, last Friday was a big day in the nation when the Supreme Court basically overturned Roe versus Wade after about 50 years of people advocating, one way or the other. And so the pendulum actually swung. Some people say that it swung back in time, and it went backwards. But the Supreme Court actually overturned Roe versus Wade in a decision that kind of shook the nation last week. And another one of the decisions that they made was in this case of this high school football coach who was praying on the 50-yard line. And so, as the story goes here, it says the justice's decisions found that the school system infringed on the coach's religious freedom and his freedom of speech rights by seeking to block him from engaging in public prayers on the field. The Supreme Court on Monday ruled in favor of a Washington State football coach who was suspended over his on the field prayers following games. The justice's decision largely breaking 6-3 along the court's usual ideological lines, found that the school system did infringe upon the coach's religious freedom and his free speech rights by trying to block him from praying in public on the field while he was flanked by students and other athletes after the games. The court's ruling is in line with a series of recent decisions in favor of religious litigants. It is not a major overhaul of the church and state legal doctrine, however, but it is likely to make government employers more cautious about disciplining employees who engage in religious activity in the workplace, even when even if, pardon me, others complain about it. The religious liberty case was filed by Joseph Kennedy. He's a high school assistant football coach who was placed on administrative leave by the Bremerton School District in 2015 after refusing to stop kneeling to pray audibly at the 50-yard line after his team's games. Um, Kennedy and religious freedom advocates argued that the coach was exercising his First Amendment right to pray. But the school district told justices that Kennedy's actions were coercive, and parents complained that their children on the team felt compelled to participate. So they basically were saying he was making the children pray, um, and or they either felt like they didn't really have an option not to pray, and so they were arguing that he was compelling them to pray, which is something that you're not supposed to be able to do. And the court found that Mr. Kennedy was all right, that he could actually exercise his First Amendment right to pray and pray out loud on the 50-yard line after the games. But one of the things that they were saying is that he couldn't um, pressure or coerce others to join in those prayers. But if they did, so be it. But if they didn't, he couldn't make them do it, and they upheld him. And so I'd like to know y'all thoughts. What y'all think? How y'all feel about the prayers in at the games? Should he be able to continue praying, or did the Supreme Court make a mistake? We've been debating a lot of these decisions that the courts are making. And so I just want to know what your thoughts are on that one. Give us a call or put it in the comments, 727-637-2416. Again, it's What's on Your Mind Wednesday. So we'll open up the lines, open up the mic for you to join the conversation, y'all. You're listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club right here on 99 Jams, the Berg, 99.1 FM. And we just want to take a minute and remind you that WUJM 99 Jams is a publicly owned I'm gonna say that again. Publicly owned media resource. That means it belongs to you, it belongs to me, it belongs to us, the community. And as a publicly owned, community owned radio service and media resource, we rely on the support of listeners like you. We rely on your donations, we rely on your contributions. We rely on you to share the page, on liking the page, spreading the word about your community radio station. And that helps us to keep the doors on, open, the lights on, and allows us to really continue to put out this quality programming in the Tampa Bay area. So what we would like to ask you to do is please consider making a donation today. And that donation can be as little as, $5 or as much as you can stand to do. There's no real cap on the donations. You know what I mean? There's no minimum. There's no maximum. Give whatever your heart desires or give whatever you're comfortable doing. But if you'd like to contribute to the work that we're doing here at 99 Jams, the Berg, you can go to the website, 99jamstheberg.com, and click on that donate button. And when you click on that donate button, it'll give you an option to become a show sponsor and a show supporter. Got a comment here from Angela Brown on Facebook. Angela says, pay attention to section 42, section 1983, pardon me. This was enacted in 1861, then in 1961. This is the type of civil rights case that she has. It says, pay attention, folks. Angela Brown versus Hoffman is the case law, and she has been screaming, this people's stay get woke family. So yeah, stay or get woke family. So section 42, pay attention to section 42, section 1983. Yeah, civil rights, man. Like, we still fighting for civil rights. We still like in the mix of the fight as we speak. So don't sleep on that, y'all. Another thing that I saw that was going on that I thought was interesting and that we needed to lift up is Pinellas County. So Pinellas County is actually preparing to pass a tenants bill of rights as the rental costs are soaring, prices going up, rents going up, everything is going up except for pay, it seems like. And so people are really hurting. So we starting to see the supply and demand for housing is all jacked up, and a lot of price gouging is going on with these rentals. And so the Pinellas County Commission is actually set and laying the foundation for passing a tenants bill of rights as the rent prices continue to soar. So amid housing soaring in housing insecurity, y'all, Pinellas County is developing a tenants bill of rights that, in its current draft, would prevent landlords from refusing to rent to people who have housing vouchers, matching the ordinance that's been passed in Hillsborough County. It would also require landlords to provide tenants with written notice of late fees and notice of their rights under federal and state law. The Board of County Commissions discussed the ordinance last week, but tabled it so that staff could research the implications on landlords' insurance premiums and protections following concerns raised by housing providers. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but I guess we'll find out when the staff returns. It says in the updated ordinance expected to go before the commission. Here's a date, y'all. Y'all ready? Save this date. It's going before the commission on August 2nd. Carolyn Strickland, Pinellas County Housing and Community Development Director, said that staff will also add language requiring advance notice for certain levels of rent increases. There you go. The rent increases, in some cases is causing people to be homeless, like straight up. If you paying $1,200 right now and they increase your rent by $400, and now you at $1,600, in rent, a lot of people can't stand that, and they have to, make some decisions. And usually that decision means you got to move. Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for tuning in. Linda Chestnut, I see you. Thank you for watching. But it's just, people have to make certain types of decisions when you get hit with those types of increases. And usually the increase will come in about 30 or 60 days. And when you trying to find a home in this market in that amount of time, also considering the fact that you may have to put up a whole new security deposit and first and last month rent and all of that kind of stuff. It really is a problem and causing a problem to a lot of people. And so the county is also looking at language that they can add to this Tenants Bill of Rights that will require landlords to provide tenants with a notice of late fees, written notice of late fees. You can't just arbitrarily say this is what you owe me in late fees. And also, they would have to include the a notice with all of your rights, and they're doing that here in St. Pete. Basically, just letting you know, like once they give you a copy of the lease, they have to give you a copy of what your rights are as a tenant as well. And that's something that they're moving through the Pinellas County Commission. It said the ordinance is expected again to go before the commission on August 2nd. And they're going to add language to require advance notice for certain levels of rent increases. So I guess if they increase your rent, beyond a certain amount, then there's some actions that need to be taken by the landlords before they do that. Erica Guardino, she's the government affairs director for the Bay Area Apartment Association. She was saying to the commission that some insurance carriers may increase their premiums or cancel policies if providers have to accept housing vouchers. So I guess this is another one of them things, and we're seeing it. It was actually passed in St. Pete, where they changed the ordinance, and I see it. Calvin, thank you for tuning in. And so they changed the ordinance here in St. Pete so that you have to accept housing vouchers and you can't discriminate against people with housing vouchers or legal sources of income. And it looks like that's what the county is also moving in the direction that they're moving in with the county. And so, like in St. Pete, landlords can no longer refuse to rent to tenants who have Section 8 vouchers. It's actually began being enforced in April. I think April 15th is when it became illegal for a landlord in St. Pete to deny a tenant rent to rent to them, basically, if they can show how they earn their money. So legal sources of income include money that you earn from a legal job, a housing voucher from the housing authority, whether you had government assistance like Social Security or disability, alimony or child support, and even investment income. In some cases, investment income was not being included when you have to tally up what you can afford. Remember, the math on income is based upon your sources. Good morning, Shakita. Thank you for tuning in. And so they were discounting the income that comes from housing vouchers and denying people rent. And so the city of St. Pete made that illegal within the municipality. If somebody that you know or if you yourself have been seeking to find a place using a housing voucher, and in St. Pete they told you that they would not accept your voucher, you can call the codes compliance and let them know that you've been discriminated against based upon your source of income. Codes compliance is 727-893-7373. Give them a call and let them know that you have a voucher and the potential landlord that you're looking to rent for has discriminated against you and wouldn't allow you to use your voucher. That's what we're trying to get here in the county. And Strickland said that staff based Pinellas' proposed ordinance on the Hillsborough County Tenants Bill of Rights, but Guardino urged the commission to adopt a provision that the St. Pete City Council did, which requires landlords to accept vouchers, but there's an exemption, right? Except in cases where the insurance policies would be impacted. So y'all help me with this. It sounds like they're saying people who have Section 8 vouchers are more high risk tenants. Because I'm trying to figure out why having a tenant with the Section 8 voucher would cause your insurance premiums to increase. And I guess it's enough of a concern where they made an exemption in the policy that you wouldn't be able to that you would be able to basically deny somebody the right to use their housing voucher in your apartment or your home if you can show that your insurance premium will be impacted. Things that make you say, kind of interesting, right, y'all? But County Administrator Barry Burton, he said that it would be difficult to verify whether a landlord's insurance plans it'll be difficult to verify insurance landlords' insurance plans in order to enforce the rule. The practice of insurance companies raising premiums based on vouchers appeared discriminatory, but would be an issue for the Florida state legislature to actually resolve it. And so, yeah, help me with this one, y'all. It's What's on Your mind Wednesday. Caller, you on the air. What's your name? What's on your mind?
Say, hey, Brother John.
Hey, hey, good morning, good morning. This is Mr. Edmond.
Yes, it's Mr. Edmund.
Mr. Edmond. So talk to me. What's on your mind, big brother?
Oh man, checking in, man. Great show this morning. Um, Tenants Bill of Rights and all that good stuff, man. Good job, man. Um, just reaching out, man, saying what it do, what the business is.
Okay, well, you know what it is, man. Just hang in here with me, man. I'd like to get your thoughts on this proposal of this new tenants bill of rights that's coming through, and yeah, what you thinking?
So yeah, I think it's needed because tenants do have a right as well. In Florida, the landlords pretty much got all the rights, So
Yeah,
having having the tenants, having some rights that's on paper that's out there. I think that's a great thing, man. I didn't know that they could not allow people to use the Section 8 voucher if they can show prove their insurance to go up. That was a new piece to me.
yeah, me too. I didn't know that either. I didn't know that there was an exemption. And we've been saying it, for a while. And Ryan, I see you. Thank you for checking in. But yeah, I've been seeing, and we've been trying to really inform folks that you have rights and that you can call if you discriminated against. But I didn't know that there was that exemption, or as we say, the loophole, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The loophole that will allow you to not have to do it if you can show that your rent, I mean, that your insurance premium is going to be impacted. Um, but you know how it goes. Always something with these things, man. And so, yeah, so that's what's cooking. And then it says here that the proposed ordinance also prohibits landlords from determining income eligibility without considering the portion of rent being paid by the tenant in cases in cases of government subsidy, because the voucher won't pay everything; it'll just pay a part of it. And it says it prohibits landlords from determining income eligibility without also considering the portion that's going to be paid by the tenant um, in the cases of a government subsidy. And Guardino said that the wording is controlled, is convoluted and could require landlords to rent to tenants with zero income beyond the voucher. And so I guess the Landlords Association pushback is saying that if they have no income and their only means of being able to pay their rent is this housing voucher, they don't want to take those types of tenants.
I, I,
Go ahead.
I don't think I don't. I could, when you rent from a property or a landlord, it already they already require you to make 3 times the mortgage. I mean 3 times the rent or something like that.
Yeah.
So whether you have a housing voucher or not, it doesn't it doesn't correct if you can make 3 times the rent if you can pay the rent.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like it's the voucher. Yeah, the voucher is only going to be for the rent amount, right? Um, and so, but
Rent.
I guess they're including that as income. So if you got a voucher that'll cover $1,000, then basically what they're saying is you got $1,000 a month in additional income. And so now you take if the rent for the place is $1,000, you need to be making 3,000, right? And if 1,000 of that is coming from a voucher, then all you need to be making is 2,000 by that math in order to find the place, right? Is that kind of how it works?
I mean that's how it sounds to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But my thought process is, the voucher can be used as a voucher for your down payment or your rent assistance. And
right,
if you make $2,000 in a voucher is 1,000, and you need 3,000 to qualify to live in there, I think you should be able to live in there. I think that's
right.
the the landlord should qualify you because they the amount of money needed
And
to
that's
live in.
and I guess that's what was happening where where if you had a housing voucher for $1,000, you're only making 2,000, and you need to be making 3,000 in order to live there. Landlords prior to these ordinances were not allowing you to live there because they're saying that you didn't have sufficient income, even though the voucher is a part of your income, quote unquote. They weren't including it or not counting the voucher as income and using it as what they call source of income discrimination, where they would not allow people who had those type of vouchers to work places. James Swain, thank you
Wow,
for checking in. Yeah, yeah, that's what was happening, man.
wow,
Yeah, and so this ordinance is looking to correct that. Also, you had, investment income, you had, disabilities, you know what I mean, different types of income, legal sources of income, and they were discriminating, people who didn't necessarily have traditional sources of income that you would think of, like a job or something like that, that you could verify. So these ordinances are looking to correct that. And
wow.
yeah,
I mean, I think it's great to have these ordinance. St. Pete got a tenant bill of rights. County following. That's great because that's like the synergy between the municipalities, I guess,
yes, sir.
whatever they call it
Yep,
there.
yep, yep.
Often there is a synergy, something that's what I'm saying, for ordinance here in St. Pete. Does not always translate to for ordinance in the county.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to you, brother John, and the team, and everybody worked on the tennis bill of rights back in the days, man. I remember I won't say when it was SCIU.
Yeah.
I first heard of the tennis bill of rights. And when I got that letter in the mail,
Keep going. I'm gonna
all right. So when I got that letter in the mail about the tennis bill of rights, um, I felt the way because I remember, being in the offices, being in the spaces and places when they first started talking about pushing it, when they first started talking about going to city council members and going to take it from idea into a policy. So when I was first reading, I'm like, oh man, I seen the changes, I seen the things that were different from when it was first proposed when we were in the office. But it's something to see it go from an idea into a policy, and see that goes from St. Pete all the way to Tenants County now. So yeah. I think Kofi. I mean, I can't remember everybody, but I remember when it first came to my attention.
Right.
And after some meetings and some stuff going on, now it is actually law or policy practice
Right.
in the county. Good stuff.
Yeah, you're right, man. There's a lot of people who worked on it. I know Amy Foster was big on it. I don't know if you mentioned her, but
Yep.
she was like a champion and an advocate
Yep. Yep.
for the tennis civil rights. Yeah, we deal with St. Pete. That was like one of the principles of one of the key points of progress. You know what I
That's what I
mean?
was saying. That's why I said this. I got you. You was
Yeah.
driving that just at one point, man, and you drove it right to where it needs to be.
I mean,
Just
yeah,
do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
with us, it wasn't just me. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
no, I mean,
I
I
appreciate it.
accept us.
Yeah. It ain't a we. I ain't speaking French. A me thing, right? But no, I appreciate all the support everybody who got behind it to help push it over the top, man.
Housing committee. I mean,
Yeah. That's right. That's right. There's a lot of
yeah,
people who participate in that. Dick Pierce gave a lot of input into it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's still giving a lot of input and ideas and suggestions on policies. You know what I mean? So yeah,
We need to get the band back together, the New Deal reunion, man, because low key the New Deal for St. Pete help usher in a lot of these policies, these forward thinking.
right.
You want to see these policies, man. The New Deal for St. Pete was like the hub where that stuff is being created, it's being put together at.
Right, right. Yeah, you're right. And it was a great vehicle for a lot of these things. Yeah, we do need to put the band back together, y'all. So y'all look July, August, put the new deal for St. Pete band back together so that we can really start to move some of these things. And we really just need to do an update, because there's a lot of things that came out of the new deal for St. Pete um, that we were advocating for that have actually happened. And so we really just need to do a progress to goals check, looking at the points of progress. You feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Really just check the temperature and see, out of the 14 or 15 points of progress that we had, how many of them, have been passed, how many of them are in progress of being passed, and then what's left to still be done, from that movement. But just rattling it off in my mind a couple of times, there's not a whole lot left from that platform that we needed to do. You know what I mean? Now it's what I'm finding about all of this stuff is that it's the implementation. Because once you get the policy passed, you still have to make sure that the policy is implemented to its fidelity. And that's the other part of these things too, because you can get a plan made and then the plan will sit on the shelf because it's not funded, or you get a policy passed and it's not really implemented, or it's not being enforced. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a lot of things that go into that as well. You there, Mr. Edmund? I think I might have lost.
No, you ain't up there.
Okay.
But I did it.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and so I'm getting messages that the sound is muffled. I don't know what the cause of that. But let's see what else is here. See if I can do something about that. So what we're gonna do, we have our guest in the studio. So what we're gonna do real quick, y'all, is we're gonna take a break at the top of the hour. And I will check the sound while we on the break to make sure that everything sounds good. What sound like, y'all? Yeah,
want me to
we'll figure it out.
Want me to step back in? Give people a chance to call and I call back in?
Yes, sir. That sounds good.
You know what I'm saying? I'll be listening, I'll tune in, and then I call in.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and then we're gonna come back with the senior engagement manager for Duke Energy. Libby Hoctor is in the building, y'all. So y'all can join. So we'll be right back to Tampa Bay. We're gonna check the sound and play some commercials, pay some bills, and then we'll be right back at you for a great conversation about the underground power line. We understand what it is. Y'all been calling me, and I had to call them the expert. So we'll do that together right here on WQJM, St. Petersburg.
Have problems with your brakes or CV joints? Then go to Florida Brakes and Tires. Mr. Roosevelt and his experienced team will take care of that for you at a very competitive price. You cannot beat that. Florida Brakes and Tires, located at L54, 34th Street South, St. Petersburg. They also provide you with roadside service and offer you with Florida Brakes and Tires.
Building. The philanthropist Melinda Gates gives us her thoughts on fighting malaria and COVID.
We had vaccine injustice. The fact that the wealthy countries could get it first and that the low-income countries were often last in line, that's just unjust.
And I'm James Gregg, live at Wimbledon, where it's the morning after one of the biggest shocks we've ever seen on centre court.
All of this after the latest world news.
Agape Souls Boutique. High-end boutique looks and quality with affordable pricing. Located at 6025 Martin Luther King Street South in St. Pete. Choose from our amazing selection of stylish, fashion-forward heels, wedges, boots, children's shoes, accessories, and much more. You can shop now and pay later, interest-free with Afterpay. Subscribe to our website and get huge savings on our latest products at agapesoulsboutique.com. For more information, call 727-379-1318. Come give your feet the royal treatment and check us out at Agape Souls Boutique today.
All right, Pinellas County. Hello, Esther Matthews, NAACP President for the St. Petersburg branch, 5130. I want to invite all of you out to meet our new superintendent, Kevin Hendricks. We're doing an education forum on June the 30th at Allendale Church, Allendale Methodist. And I want to invite you guys out to come and join us so that we can not only meet our new superintendent, but also meet some of the key administrative staff with the school board.
Thank you, Esther. I'm looking forward to meeting with you and all of the community on June 30th at the Allendale United Methodist Church. It's going to be a great time. We look forward to talking education, talking about the issues that are important to the NAACP,
Absolutely.
and looking forward to the next school year. So we'll see you on June 30th.
See you there.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Jeff Baker. This program is being done by the Jewish Society. And we would like to thank y'all for tuning in to help us with the special guest that we're doing this with. So that we can get to can you hear me okay over there? Okay, so good. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can do it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Then we have Professor Libby from Duke Energy. So welcome. Would you mind giving us a self-introduction? Okay. Okay. Well, awesome. Awesome. How's that sunshine treating you? Right. It get hot here, right? It really has. It absolutely has. So stay hydrated, stay inside, y'all. And so we have a PowerPoint here we're going to add to the screen. And this is we are making history here. This is the first time that we've done it this way. And so I'm excited about it. But we have the slide listed up here where it says basically the introduction slide. So it's building a smarter energy future, grid and future. So, yeah. Okay. Okay.
All of them? Okay. Right. Okay. I got and I saw in the slide that's supposed to be talking about resilience, right? And that's what you're saying about like minimizing what happens after outages and things like that. Okay, got it. Like, I'm counting on you to advance me through these slides, right? Okay. Mhm. Okay, got it. Self-healing technology. Self-healing technology. That's interesting. What okay, so I like that. So,
Okay, no problem, no problem. So you say you got started doing this in 2021, or
Yes, for 2020, I started doing the grid improvement work.
okay,
Yes.
okay, and it's reaching out. It's in communities. How many
Yep.
more communities is this in the Tampa Bay area?
It's in a lot. I mean, for specifically the undergrounding, we're converting about 23 miles of overhead electric lines to underground. Within this one substation that serves across the city of St. Petersburg and the city of Gulfport.
Okay, and so this will help improve from power outages and stuff like that. And
Yes.
is this like a state sanctioned thing? Like, how did this come about?
It is, yes. Basically, a few years ago, we have a team specialized. They sat down, they reviewed, behind the scene outages and things like that. And then we got together a schedule and a budget and a plan. And we take that plan to what we call our PSC, our Public Service Commission, and we present it to them and we explain all the pros and the cons of what's going on with our grid and all the improvements that we would like to make. And then they obviously ended up approving this program, which then allows us to make our way into these communities and complete these amazing upgrades for everyone.
Okay, got it. Okay, and I'm following along here with the slide. So I'm on the 51st Street. You talked about the substation.
Yes. So if we move to the next slide, it kind of is just, it's a map that kind of gives you a bird's eye view of the overall 8 feeders and just kind of like what we just talked about. It's going to service a portion of the city of St. Petersburg and part of Gulfport.
Okay, gotcha.
These are just visuals to help people understand how large this project actually is. Because if you flip to the next slide, it shows you all of the 8 feeders that we are going to be completing upgrades to.
And you say 8 feeders, so the substation is like the hub where like when it comes from wherever it comes from.
The power plant.
The power plant. it goes to these hubs, and then the hubs distribute it to the neighborhoods?
Yes.
Okay.
Substation is basically where like the transmission lines come in, and then it goes from the transmission lines to the feeder lines, which normally run along like your major streets and intersections.
Okay.
And then we move into the neighborhoods and communities.
Okay, gotcha. And with my house, I'm like on a main feeder road, and so I guess I've been getting a lot of knocks.
Yeah, you're gonna be receiving a lot of upgrades. Then.
Okay, because I'm on a feeder road, and that. Okay,
yes.
Okay, I got you. And so this map actually is showing, some of those that happening in this particular area.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the black line is feeder X108, which is the main feeder line that's going to serve the Childs Park community.
Okay, feeder X108.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. I got you. And so I'm on that one I'm actually on the same slide that you're on now. So I got you.
So yeah, it's basically, we've broken this feeder down into 3 phases. It's just basically how the crews are going to schedule and work this feeder line. But within this feeder line, there's 3 types of programs that are taking place.
Okay.
We have the feeder hardening that I just spoke about. Those are the lines that run from the transmission station along the major roads and intersections.
Are they underground too?
No, these are going to be overhead improvements. These are going to be things like switching out our utility poles, making them larger and thicker to better withstand winds, and then also upgrading our lines.
Okay.
In certain areas, we have what we call a span. It's the distance between 2 poles, and in some areas, that span is just too far apart. Okay. So when these major storms come through and we have these high winds, because let's face it, we live in Florida and weather is a part of our life, whether we like it or not.
Absolutely.
When this strong wind comes through, it's easy to pull those wires, which pulls the poles down. So if we can get an additional pole in between those 2, it's going to help everything stand.
Okay. And so you all did an assessment of like, okay, this is where we need to put, more poles.
Yes.
Now, is that something that you'll be talking to residents about as well? Like if you need to put an additional pole on their property or something like that?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
If we are changing out poles, if we're installing something new, I want to make sure I work with the community. I don't want anyone to feel blindsided. I want them to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Gotcha. I gotcha. And then I guess the question for me is like, who's paying for this? Like, will the cost for these upgrades be passed on to the consumers and residents? Like, how is this being funded?
So it's no, like, if you're part of the undergrounding program, it's no additional out of cost, but it is, the improvements are coming from our rates.
Okay. So what, have rates been increased or?
About 2 years ago, our rates were increased.
Okay.
In order to be able to implement this plan and upgrade all of our grid.
Okay, so the way that the process works is like what you said, you go to the government, the Public Service Commission, they approve it, and then you approve the plan. A part of that plan includes raising rates.
Yes.
And that happened 2 years ago, and now the revenue from those raised rates can help fund the implementation of this program.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure I'm following along.
I know. It's a lot.
Right. Okay. And so you're gonna keep going on the slide?
Yeah, we can move
okay,
if you want to kind of get into the undergrounding portion.
Yes.
So this is just kind of, again, zoomed in a little bit more. Unfortunately, our designs are just in kind of like a rough draft right now. I cannot share them. Because as we progress with this program, the designs are going to change, 10 to 20 times as we get more residents involved and people understand more, the more people want to participate, meaning that the designs will change.
And so just real quick on that, so the design is based upon resident participation? Is that what you're saying?
So for specifically undergrounding, it is a voluntary program.
Okay.
You do not have to participate, but I highly encourage that everyone does. It's a great program. You'll receive lots of benefits.
Okay.
And we do our best to keep, the community clean and safe while we're doing it.
And so what is I guess, because I've seen like a lot of these things happen where you don't really get resident feedback or I guess participation, and it still happens. So, and I know this may not be in your wheelhouse, but like for example with the trees, Like I don't know who they talked to cut down the trees, but I just know one day trees were here, and the next day trees were gone. Right.
Right. So
what happened with that?
yeah, so I will just state my specialty is not in vegetation. I'm not an arborist by any means.
Views expressed on this program.
Yeah. But Duke Energy does work to balance the aesthetics with our goal to provide safe and reliable power to households and businesses that depend on us.
Okay.
I mean, you do every day. You depend on us to keep the lights on at your home.
Right.
But trees are a main source of our outages, and it is our responsibility to ensure that the power lines are clear of vegetation and obstacles.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we do have to come into some areas where there is extreme vegetation that's growing into these lines, and we have to cut the trees.
Okay. And Mr. Edmond, I see Mr. Edmond. Mr. Edmond, go ahead, man. What's on your mind?
No, I just like trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like all the things they have to offer, so finding the middle ground. But that ain't your department. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We need to get the arborists in.
Yeah, I know. I'd be more than happy to get you in contact.
Middle ground.
Yeah, please, because that is it's definitely something that we were concerned about. But the reason I lifted that up is so for the undergrounding, the approach I guess is different from how it was with the trees. Like you're actually talking to residents about know this undergrounding as opposed to just coming in and like, okay, you get an upgrade,
Yeah.
right.
Yes, definitely. So you had reference when we last spoke, people have just been knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Who are those people? Why are they knocking?
Exactly.
Those are our CLS agents, our contracting land services team.
Okay.
And they are going and they're knocking on doors. They are promoting this program to the community. They're getting out there, they're explaining the program to you, they're answering any questions that you might have, and then they are asking customers to sign what we call as our customer acknowledgement form.
Right. That's what actually prompted this
Oh, really?
interview.
Okay.
Because people were like, should I sign this?
Or not?
You know, and you know, what are my rights basically?
Yeah.
And
so that customer acknowledgement form is basically you as a customer are stating that, yes, I would like to participate in this program. I am giving Duke Energy permission to access my backyard, and I'm giving Duke Energy permission to touch my meter can and my overhead electric line.
Okay.
So it's like a waiver.
Yes.
Okay, got you. And I know we said we are going to get into questions. I probably should have held them and let you get through the presentation before we start taking questions.
That's okay.
Because we do have some questions that are coming in from the Facebook audience. Yeah. All right. So targeted underground program at a glance, is that where we are?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll move on to that. Our targeted undergrounding program improves storm response and reliability by using smart data technology to identify the most outage-prone power lines and move those lines underground.
Okay.
So moving outage-prone lines underground can significantly reduce power outages and momentary service interruptions. And it can also help quicken our restoration time.
Okay.
And also, like we talked about, this is going to help eliminate us from, coming in your backyard and trimming those trees.
Okay. So go ahead.
So, when you do the underground project,
yeah.
Say you're on a street, right?
Yes.
And you have approval from 3 out of 10 residents. Will you be able to put it underground there? If you have if you only got partial approval.
Yeah, if you don't have like 100% participation.
We still move forward with the program. The only thing that we do have to worry about is what comes with undergrounding comes equipment.
Okay.
So just like with the overhead lines, what serves,
Mm-hmm.
your service that helps it are poles and transformers.
Mm-hmm.
So just like those overhead transformers, like the cans that sit on the poles, we need underground transformers.
Okay.
And we need to be able to place those somewhere on private property.
Mm. So is there, thinking about private property, if you're using my property to house these lines, should I be compensated for that?
Unfortunately, we cannot compensate you for using your property. We do, along with asking people to sign a customer acknowledgement form, we do ask residents, would you be willing to host equipment? And if you're considering it, we would need you to sign what we call an easement.
Okay.
An easement is a legal document, and you are allowing Duke Energy to place their equipment and their underground wires on your property. This means that you're allowing us to access it and maintain it, but by no means does it mean that you are relinquishing your property to us.
That's what I wanted to ask, because when I hear easement, it kind of reminds me of what the city does for sidewalks and stuff like that for their underground equipment. You have an easement from your property line,
right?
So and that's why. So if it's an easement, and so Duke still owns the equipment.
Yes.
Duke still owns the wiring, but it's on someone else's property.
Correct.
And you volunteering to have that on your property, like, again, it's not a lease agreement between you and Duke Energy that says, you know, I'm going to rent you this space to be able to do that.
Is it for amount of time? Is it forever? See what I'm saying? See, y'all should have came and talked. Y'all should have came and talked. Y'all should have came and consulted with the community development and training center. We'll help y'all kind of line this up a little better. But
so I will say that we placed the primary wires within the right of way.
So that's the easement I'm talking about.
The easement that you're speaking on, that area that the city owns. We work with the city. The city gives us a permit to place those wires.
See, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say would be the smarter thing, right? Honestly, before putting it on people's property or whatever, using what the city already has. How can I say the infrastructure? It probably would be cheaper and less time consuming. Man, listen, I can't be giving away all this free information.
The consultation has been done, all of the consultations. But no, and I think that, again, just so that this is data that it's a two-way flow, right? We're receiving information, and I'm sure you being able to, as an engagement officer, you get information from us so that you can take back to, you know, the higher ups, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So that as we start thinking about the approaches to this stuff, you know, these are considerations that we have, right?
And I know it would be awesome if we could place all the equipment within that right of way. Unfortunately, it comes down to it being a safety hazard. We cannot have a transformer box that close to the road. Things like people can run into it, trucks can hit it, it can cause a lot of damage, and it's not safe to have those out there. So the further that we could get them away from the streets, the better off. But I mean, we are more like when we're canvassing the neighborhood and you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll give you this easement to place some equipment here. I'm more than happy to work with you. If there's a specific spot on your property that you want to place something, let's do it. Let's make it work there.
Okay.
And I'm more than happy to, you know, plant some flowers around it, hide it, make it look good.
You gotta beautify it. That was actually one of the questions that came in. It says, who will do the restoration of the property? City by the homeowner. I'm maybe Robin, if you want to call in and give us that question, because it's I'm not really understanding it the way that it's written.
I kind of think I understand it, but I'd rather let them call in because I don't want to put my thoughts.
Okay.
But what I wanted to ask is, okay, so say if a property owner wanted to house multiple boxes for a neighborhood, could that be worked out?
So they could host possibly more than one, but the way that the voltage and the load works is that only a certain amount, depending on the sizes of these homes, only a certain amount of services can be fed from each piece of equipment. So I can't have, you know, you hosting one transformer that's feeding 15 homes. You're going to every day have flickers in your home, power outages.
So y'all really using the infrastructure that's already there, but just adding to it. So you won't blow nothing out of my house.
Right. So that's why
that's one of the questions that came in.
The more people that we have that are willing to host, the better off the whole program is.
So I just had, but then that costs money.
Okay.
I just had another idea of what I can.
So we still in the overview part of the presentation, right? You want to keep going?
So, well, basically what I also want to say about the Child's Park community, your electric lines are currently served in your back lots. Having those lines located in the back of people's homes is challenging and extremely dangerous for our crews. As we spoke about, that vegetation is growing crazy. Some of those lines are just emerged. And on top of that, a lot of these communities or these homes, people have pools and sheds and things going on in their backyard. So when you have an outage and we're showing up at 2 a.m, waking you up because we need you to unlock your gate to get us in your backyard, and now we got to move your shed to access that transformer. It's just, there's a lot going on and it's not safe. And when it's in the middle of the night, it's extremely hard for the crews to get back there.
Right.
So if we can get those lines out of the back lots and into the front and underground, it's way more beneficial for the whole community.
So is a lot of backyard feed in St. Pete? Because if you think about it, only a few homes or areas have like their lines in their front yard.
Right.
Yeah.
So this happened, years ago before these communities rapidly started growing.
Yeah.
These poles were already placed in the backyards. And now that everyone, spends so much time on their vegetation and their plants and things like that, everything's just growing crazy. And it's taken over these lines. And, we'll stop trimming them if we can get them out of there and in the front.
All right, so we have on the line. Colin, what's your name? What's your question? What's on your mind?
I'm Robin Wynn. I'm a resident of the Charles Park area where this is going to be taking place soon.
Robin.
I did receive a papers to sign, whatever to let them come on your property. But my question was, being a ex-city worker, I've known for a fact when these companies come in and do these big jobs like this, the restoration is awful. Is the city going to take care of it, or some of it's going to be on the homeowners? Because some of us are on fixed income. There ain't no way we're going to be paying the landscaping people to come in and pick that stuff up. So who's going to take care of that?
And what I'll do is we're going to have Libby answer your question, but thank you for calling in, Robin, and clarifying that for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for watching.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great question. Any damage that is done above or below the ground, Duke Energy is held reliable for. So any damage that takes place
above and below?
Yes, because you already have a lot of underground infrastructure in your yard. Things like septic tanks, drainage fields, sprinkler lines, and things like that.
Right.
And we're well aware that every home has these types of things. And first, what we do is we bring in a utility locates company. This company is going to locate, spray paint, and flag any already underground infrastructure. This will be extremely beneficial for a safe installation. We make sure to avoid anything that is underground. Sometimes accidents happen, and we do happen to hit things or we damage something. Duke Energy is reliable for restoring anything above or below ground. So if we damage your flower bed or a tree or your sod, I'm your girl. You call me. I'll get our restoration crew out there and they will replace it for you. By no means is it on the owner to take care of that.
Yeah, because I've seen it where they've done. I saw some phone lines or something that were fiber optics that were put in, and they like dig up your yard, and then they'll cover it and then just like leave a dirt pile. You know what I mean? Like a pile of dirt and a couple cones. Man, they left cones at my house for like 4 months.
Hey, listen.
Sidewalk was broke. You know what I mean? I'm calling the people like, "What's up? When y'all coming to get this stuff?"
We done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Too, right?
And another thing I want to talk about, you talked about fiber. I just want to make sure that it's clear because I know a lot of those companies, they trench. That's why your yard was completely dug up. We do not trench. We use what we call directional boring. And it's basically a machine or a rig that goes, we'll dig a hole and we stick the equipment down in the hole, and then it can directional bore a shot all the way underground and it will pop up at your meter can. So that distance between that hole and your meter can, we're not disturbing anything. We're not ripping up your yard. You won't even know that we went through it.
I got you. Yeah, because when I heard about undergrounding and taking them down, I just came off of this fiber optic install where they dug up my whole yard, put all of this stuff out there. You know what I mean? Cones broke up the sidewalk. So that's not something that we'll be seeing.
No, you will not. There will be. It is construction. And certain areas, dirt is going to be dug up where we need to put holes or underneath your meter can. That's something else that I wanted to talk about. You're no longer going to be fed from overhead, and your overhead service comes down your weatherhead and into your meter can. We now are coming to the bottom of your meter can. So we are going to hold, once we get through the design phase and we have our final design, I am going to call the neighborhood and we come out and we hold what is called a pre-construction meeting.
Okay.
And in this meeting, it's going to be me, the general foreman who is completing the job, our engineer, our electrician, and our project manager are all going to show up, a full-on team, and we are going to walk door to door and we take a look at your meter can and your unique situation.
Okay.
Because some people have things underneath their meter cans, like pool pumps or more sprinkler lines, or there's concrete. And in order for us to come up the bottom of the ground through there, we are going to have to make some concrete cuts. So I like to work with, call the homeowners, let them know we're going to be out there next Wednesday. Would love for you to be around, say, hey, talk about the program, and we'll walk them through what we're going to actually be doing on their property.
Okay.
And showing them, we might have to cut a little concrete out here, but like I said, we will be replacing it.
Okay.
So I got a question, and it's about safety, right?
Yeah.
So with the electric lines going overhead, you have to worry about, wire outages and wire fall. So with it underground, if something should rupture or mess up a wire underground, will that wire be electrified to someone walking on that ground?
No, it will not. We put our wire within some conduit underground, which will protect it from any
Is it like
wires
a metal
happening.
pipe or like?
It's like PVC piping that will help protect it, but by no means would it catch fire or erupt or anything like that. If you end up having a bad underground cable, you give us a call and we'll come out and we can strip that conduit, pull the wire out, and we can replace a new one for you.
What about in the event of flooding? Like if it's flooded out, right? Let's say it did rupture or split. Let's just say it's a big flood in my backyard.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of these areas are flood zones, down by the beaches and things like that. So our engineers are well aware of what areas are flood zones, and they do have a process.
But I'm talking about outside of a flood zone, just like I flooded my backyard. I'm not in the flood zone.
Yeah.
I flooded my backyard. It's flooded out, right? So pipe bust or whatever. Like, is there danger now? Because that wire's back there.
No, it will be fine. It's protected with that conduit, and just like when your overhead service, it's not protected at all right now. Actually, it's just there. It's live. It's hanging onto the top of the roof of your home.
Mm-hmm.
It's not protected, and it thunderstormed the past 3 nights.
Yeah.
Hard rain.
Right.
Nothing. You were safe. It's just like that, and then it's also going to be enclosed with another pipe underneath. So we take pride in safety, and we make sure that our customer safety comes first. So you will be okay.
And that kind of leads me to a question that's another social media question. My wife actually says, my concern is about health. So what are like the health impacts of having, a transformer that's, doing whatever it's doing, and the energy that's coming off of it, whatever. Like what are some of the health implications of having or hosting a transformer in your space?
Right. So just like the transformers that sit in your backyard, we would never put any resident in harm's way, just because it is sitting in your front lot. By no means is it, radiating energy that could hurt you on a daily basis. We do have again, it's not something that I'm specialized in, but we do have a group that primarily specializes in that I would be more than happy to get you guys in contact with to discuss it a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question that was about the transformers that blow, because we've seen,
you're right.
The transformers, how they blow.
Yeah.
How does that work if it's underground and you have a phenomenon that causes a transformer to blow out?
So these transformers actually are not set underground.
Okay.
They're it's basically, I think I have a picture. Okay, one of them are on here.
Oh, I've seen them like that be at apartments. Them green tanks everybody sit on at the apartments.
Okay.
They be like electric tank.
I got it.
Hanging out, that's like a bench.
That's why we crazy too. All that radiation coming from.
Stop it right now. I hear that. But no, I know about them green boxes.
Yes,
and I
they're
see it in the
safe.
slide. The what to expect slide is where we went.
Yeah, they are safe. They're extremely sturdy. Like you said, you're sitting on them. You're hanging out on them. It's okay.
Nobody don't even know what they is.
Yeah. Well, now you can tell all your friends. That's an underground transformer.
Okay, so that's what an underground transformer is.
You know what? So it's all coming together. And so in apartments, you don't see all those lines sometimes.
Right.
It's all underground. I get it.
Doesn't it look nice and clean?
I mean,
It's aesthetically
Go ahead
pleasing.
and sell it. Go ahead, Libby. Go ahead. No, but I got you. So we on what to expect. That's the slide that we on now.
Yeah. So basically, I just talked about reviewing the plan. That's when we're gonna come out with you. We'll work through it with you. We'll walk you through everything. Marking the site is when I talked about we bring in a utility company to locate everything before we begin. And then obviously line relocation. That's when we're going to begin construction. Just like I notify you about the pre-construction meeting, I'm going to notify the community when we're going to begin. We also will have to notify the community again. I'm going to be annoying. I'm going to be reaching out multiple times, but I want to let you guys know when the power outage is going to happen.
Oh, so y'all gonna cut the power off and then do it?
Right. When we make that final connection from overhead to underground at the meter, we do have to cut off the power.
For the whole block or the house?
It's going to be normally per that transformer. So depending if there's 3 or 6 homes fed from that transformer, normally they'll all be cut off at the same time. We'll be sure to notify everyone at least 2 days in advance. If that time and date does not work for you, we are more than happy to coordinate when it does work for your schedule. I know a lot of people are still working from home, or they have businesses in their homes, and you can't be without power. You can't lose that time. We are more than happy to work with you and to get that rescheduled. And then lastly, like I said, we take pride in leaving your property the way that we found it. So at the very end of the program, after all the overhead equipment is finally removed, I will follow back up with the community and see who needs restoration, where we made any mistakes. I'll be sure to get the crew back out there and they will repair any damage.
So I got a question. So each transformer box powers like 6 homes, 7 homes?
It depends on the loads and the sizes of the homes.
So the reason I'm asking is because so you won't have to have one of those boxes in every yard.
No.
Like 1-2 yards per neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes it's like every 6 houses or something. So if you host a transformer, you and maybe 2 houses to the right and 3 houses to the left could be fed from it. That's again depending on the and the size of these homes, square footage, and things like that.
Okay, gotcha.
We also use things called pedestals. So if you're not hosting a transformer box, maybe you want to take a pedestal. It's smaller. It's still above ground. It's kind of like a green thinner box.
I think I know what box you're talking about.
And that helps carry. Were you hanging out by those too?
No, one right across the one at Charles Park, right there. Right, green little thing. Yeah. What you call that one? What's the name?
A pedestal.
So that's different from like this transformer box. It's like a scaled down version.
Yes.
And it's made out of some different material. Like plastic or something? It looked like plastic. It looked like some type of plastic.
It is a little bit less. It's not as invasive as these transformer boxes. Right. Yes, they're much smaller, but it helps distribute that load. Because like I said, we can't just take one transformer and go down and around the block. We have to eventually tie in for safety into one of these pedestals and then continue to distribute power.
Gotcha. All right. I got a couple more slides here.
Oh, this kind of just to go over the communication process with the community. Back in November or December of 2021, the community should have received a postcard.
Okay.
On this postcard, it talked about the grid improvement program that, hey, we're coming your way. You're going to see Duke Energy in 2022. On the back of that was also a QR code. And if you, you pull up your camera on your cell phone and you scan it, it can redirect you to a website that is specifically designed for the 51st Street substation. I'll get further into that website, but our next phase is specify. Whether you are receiving overhead upgrades or underground upgrades, you will be receiving a second postcard letting you know, hey, overhead's going to begin, or hey, you're part of undergrounding. Call me, let's talk about customer acknowledgement forms, the process, and things like that, see if you would like to participate.
Okay.
Then the third phase is to inform and support. And this takes me back to that QR code in that website. You can go onto this website and it will give you a timeline. It gives you more information. It even shows you videos if you want to see how the work is actually completed.
Okay.
It talks about self-healing technology. It gives you my information to contact me, call me, email me, whatever you want to do. And then our third phase is the survey. At the very end of the program, it does take a few months to finally complete, but at the very end of it, I'm going to follow back up with the community. I love any type of feedback, whether it's positive or negative. I would love to hear from the community and see what we can do to help support you guys better.
All right, cool. So my first thought, like usually, like in community, we start with the survey. So, you know, we'll start like asking people how you feel, what you think about this, kind of ease people into it. So that's why I think it might be a little disconnect now, because it's kind of like feel like it's just dropping on people.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Feel
Yeah.
like a ton of bricks when that first letter probably was y'all easing into it.
Right.
But those like
Got lost.
postcards, it don't translate a lot of times into like people being aware. Sometimes they get it and just throw it away. And so
Right.
now y'all here, and I was like, what? And it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? What are these people at my door for? What is this paper they want me to sign? And it kind of is a little
Right.
disconnected.
Right. And so I got looks like a couple of questions here, and it's like kind of a comment as well. It says, lightning commonly strikes power transformers. Let's talk about that.
Right. So back on those boxes, those large green boxes, the type of equipment that's used to build them helps reflect the lightning.
So they're not like lightning rods, like, because I've seen lightning hit those transformers up on a tree, and if you got one in my backyard, you know, should I be concerned?
Again, it's not really my specialty to speak on how the transformers are built.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to get you in touch with someone, but as always, we would never put you in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
We make this, it is a safe program. We would never want to, you know, hurt anyone or anyone in your family.
And this is another one of those, you probably can give the same answer to this question too, because it says, should we be concerned about cancer? Just thinking with, you know, radiation and just the different things like that.
Right.
You know.
And if you go on that website, it talks more about radiation and things like that. That goes into further detail, and again, can get them in touch with a specialist that can give them way more details on it than I can provide today.
Okay, and so just as an overview of that, and I'm glad you're just acknowledging that, and we did talk about that beforehand, and so because I see in the comments like, dang, she can't even answer the questions. That's one of the comments, and to be fair, when we reached out and we invited you, it was you responded by saying my specialty is the undergrounding program and really being familiar with this particular part of the program and not like some of the other technical things. And
right.
So I want to acknowledge that you acknowledged that before we came and said, hey, do I need to bring somebody? Should I bring somebody else with me? And right.
I did. She did. I did say that because as
I wish I would have known. I would have said, yeah, bring them with you.
Yeah.
And I said, bring information about the trees.
Yeah, but I feel you.
Right. And look, when I asked about trees, she had the information about trees. Right. that was the only tag along was trees.
Right.
And she made sure that she had that information as well. But there's some other stuff about health concerns that you know we do need to have some follow-up questions.
Yeah, they're valid concerns. They're definitely valid concerns on to help ease people's mind about what's going on. And so it's not like that ton of bricks are just being dropped in their lap.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe a community conversation, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean that's
that's how it was. So the idea was again, we originally would have invited Libby to come to the neighborhood association meeting, but our agenda for this meeting was packed, and we just know we wouldn't have been able to have a substantive conversation about it. And so to keep from waiting until the next neighborhood association meeting, we said, hey, maybe you can come and hang out with us at the radio station, and that's what she agreed to do. And so she's been open to coming to the neighborhood and coming to have these conversations. Look like we might need to have a porch party because another one of the things that I'm seeing, it says they gave me till Friday to sign the paperwork. And I think that's causing a little bit of angst too. Because people got like deadlines and targets on like, you need to get this back to me by this date, or you won't be able to participate in the program. Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Right. So the goal of this program is to have all this work completed by the end of this year, and we're already, creeping into July. It's a lot of work. I mean, the undergrounding program itself could take up to 4 months to complete. So the quicker we can get people involved and volunteering to be a part of this program, the quicker we can get the whole program moving along. by any means, we do not want you to feel pressured at all.
Yeah.
If there's something that you're kind of questioning about it, please reach out to me. Like I stated, I know people think I'm not answering these questions, but my main role is to engage with the community, open up this program to them, and then if they have specific questions, I'm more than happy to redirect them to my coworkers.
Okay.
There's a whole group of us that make up this program, and each one of us specializes in something different.
Okay, got it. And so if we wanted to like do this again, maybe like in another format, right? Maybe not have you come in, but like kind of Zoom it with you and some of your
Yeah,
colleagues.
I'd be more than happy.
Would you
Yeah,
be open to do
have
that?
someone speak on the radiation, have someone speak on the engineering side, the construction side, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm more than happy to have those people present.
Okay, y'all hear that, y'all? But y'all got to tune in. Let us know if y'all if this is something that you would participate in. If you would jump on a Zoom to be able to ask your questions, put a yes I will in the chat.
Put a plus in the chat.
Put a plus in the chat. Put yes I will in the chat if you would be able to jump on a Zoom and continue the conversation. Because there's also hold on, let me just see. Look, these are good comments.
Oh no, that really is. They good comments.
Yeah.
I mean, the people really putting some thought.
Yeah.
What they saying.
So big business tell you what they want. That's just like a real sentiment. Radiation, energy, all of that we should be concerned about. And I think being able to have the subject matter experts to be able to address those concerns would only help further the conversation.
Yeah, and we'd be more than happy to do, in some communities, we do like pop-up tents or things like that, where a group of us will sit in the community and you can swing by and ask us questions and look at designs and talk about things further.
Right.
And again, I can bring those people with me and they can speak on behalf of those topics.
So we're gonna have to go inside. It ain't gonna be a tent.
All right, we can go inside.
Hot out there.
That's not gonna work.
It's hot out there. People still sit on my porch.
Listen, I still sit outside, but it's 10 to 20 of us together. It's feeling a certain way out there.
No, I hear you. And so just thinking about that timeline, right? So because in one of the earlier slides, you mentioned the designing and how the design of where they go depends on, I guess, these signatures and people's approval.
Right, yeah.
And so when are you all like, I guess, kind of your do or die date for like, okay, if you don't sign by this date, then we're moving forward and we're going to put them in other areas.
Right.
And just,
So it's just, unfortunately, we can't wait forever because half the other community is gun ho. They're ready. Let's do this. We want to see these benefits.
So you have communities that are like chomping at the bit, signing it. And
I have people that are asking why I didn't start in February.
Okay.
I was thinking
just tell me about those communities. I mean, tell me about those types of communities, because we got a different community. Like our community just being like totally transparent. We've been betrayed a lot by health. And so we are leery. Like people come in and they say they're going to help us, and then they don't help us, and we end up finding out 30 or 40 years later that like if you agreed to let them put underground lines in your yard in 2020, you may be subject to compensation. Like we get those types of calls. We have that type of experience. You know what I mean, in the Black community specifically. And so it causes us to be a little more cautious when somebody says, hey, we got this great program and we're here to help you.
Right.
Like we have a little more reservation. And so tell me about some of those communities who are like where are these people?
Yeah, so a lot of these programs are taking place in city of St. Petersburg, Gulfport, South Pasadena, Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach. Those are the Clearwater.
We're on a good list in Charles Park. We got a good
I was going to ask that. Well, is this a pilot list or is this the whole program?
This is for all of the 2022 work.
Okay, then y'all expand from and go further and go more places.
Yes. So the reason why these communities were
all right.
Breaker, I hear you. Breaker 19.
This is public radio.
Over and out. I always wanted to say that. Shout out to my daddy.
The reason why these communities were slated for undergrounding is due to the number of outages that they've received over the past few years.
Okay.
So because your community has experienced this number of outages.
Yeah, we did. We had Irma. We had a real.
Yeah, we was out for a long time.
Outage.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So the best way to get ahead of the next storms that are coming is to relocate these lines underground. So you're not the only community that's going through the same exact process. You know, we are canvassing in all these other neighborhoods. I'm communicating with them. I'm walking them through the process. They're receiving postcards. They're receiving phone calls and text notifications and things like that.
Okay. All right. And so we have a couple minutes left. If there's like a final thought or a final message that you have for people about this program, what would that be?
I feel as though everyone should participate. It has amazing benefits. And please do not hesitate to call, email, text me any hour, any day. If I cannot answer your question, I am more than happy to redirect you to a specialist who can.
All right, sounds
And thank
good.
you so much for having me today.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
I got a leading question, and this is off topic but on topic.
Okay.
So you are engagement specialist. How can Childs Park or neighborhood association better engage with Duke Energy outside of the business of electricity on community level? How can we better engage with Duke Energy?
You mean like keeping up to date with the programs and things?
No, like bringing Duke in as partners, bringing Duke in as
We would be more than happy to partner with you. I know that we have partnered with the Pinellas County Urban League and the Campbell Park Resource Center.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're doing a lot of work with them, so we'd be more than happy to, work something out and build a partnership with you.
So let me ask you that too, because a lot of times those partnerships, when we talk about them from a community perspective, is they're like voluntary, right? Volunteer, engagement.
Yeah.
But like this group that you're contracting with, right? That's doing this door knocking.
Yes.
Like how much more impactful would it be, I guess, if you have people from the community, like actually hiring people from the community to be a part of this engagement? So like you get a group of people from the community, you train them up, get them on on script and on code, and really have them, talking to their neighbors. And so it's like,
that would be awesome.
It's not some guy from, somewhere
right, that
else.
doesn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Someone that's, has experienced it firsthand and knows the community much better than I would.
So how can we have that conversation about
we could definitely
future engagements and how can we contract with people like you, because that's what we do. Like, see that one of our things is connecting our community with resources and opportunities. And so if there's an opportunity for us to be hired to go out and talk to our, community about this and other programs that are available, that's
so we could
like to have.
I'm not trying to pass this off, but that'd be like our human resources department.
Okay. See, that's what I see. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Engagement.
And
but I think I understand the engagement that Duke is talking about.
Yeah.
As far as reaching out to people, getting stuff done.
Yeah.
But like.
Yeah, I can get you in contact with our human resources department.
Yeah.
We can talk about getting the community more engaged and getting positions opened up and
That's
things
what I'm
like
talking
that.
about. Because engagement for us, community engagement usually be like us being the subjects, and then people come in and ask us questions. We answer those questions. We complete the cards. They give us $15 gift card and tell us thank you for your input, and then do what they want to do anyway, right? So we're talking about like really, changing the dynamics of that relationship. So again, I want to thank you for coming in. Look, Mr. Williams said street team action. Absolutely. That's what we're kind of building up towards. Yeah. And again, we want to thank those who were able to engage. If you had a question, and where should they direct questions to? Like if they do have questions about the undergrounding program that were not answered today, and they're still seeking additional information, how should they handle that? Or how should we handle that?
Yeah, on that slideshow that I sent you, my phone number's on there, my email's on there. Give me a phone call, shoot me an email, let me know what's going on, and we'll work through it together.
Okay, sounds good. And then, like I said, we'll work with you to schedule a time for you to bring the rest of the team.
Yeah.
We can do maybe like a Zoom meeting, and
that'd be awesome.
And let's continue the conversation. All right, so you're listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, the new 99 Jams morning show on WUJM. You just heard from Libby Hoctor. I don't know why I had to like force myself to say Hoctor 10 times. Libby Hoctor, she's the senior community engagement manager. Is that right? For Duke Energy. And if you missed the first part of the conversation, you can catch the replay. You can actually go back to Facebook.com/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. You can also go to YouTube. It's on YouTube. You'll be able to go to the parts that you want to hear. If you're listening live online, 99jamstheberg.com. Also download the TuneIn radio app from WUJM. Again, we always encouraging you, like if you like this kind of program and you like this kind of stuff, then go ahead and give a donation. You can go donate by going to 99jamstheberg.com, clicking that donate button and supporting the community on radio. Mr. Edmond, final thoughts.
Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for coming out. We got a lot of work to do this week. we got some work to do this week. We planning a black male conversation.
Yes.
Sitting down in the barbershop, Central Station barbershop. So
Yes.
if you're a black male, we want you to come on out so we can have an in-depth conversation about engagement, like what you're doing, how you feel.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a series of conversations.
Right.
We're gonna do it in Tampa. We're gonna do it in Orlando. Then we're gonna come back with what we find.
Yeah.
And build.
And really build on it. And we like not just looking for what we call the usual suspects. We're talking about people who are not engaged, who are not usually involved in the electoral process, the political process. And we just want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's not it's not a sales pitch, but it's really just understanding and a conversation about, your perspective and your view on why, why it matters or why it doesn't matter.
And I want the usual suspects too, because I think oftentimes
not just is what I'm saying.
Not just, but oftentimes what we do is like we cut people out.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut nobody out. I want to bring more people in.
That's it. And so if you wanted the usual suspects,
just come with somebody.
Find you somebody who don't usually come to this kind of stuff.
To dilute your effectiveness, bring 2 people with you.
Yeah, bring somebody with you, and bring 2 people who don't vote or don't engage in the political process. Because we want to hear. Yeah, we want to really hear about it, and y'all know enough about us to know like we're not going to try and sell you on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now we believe what we believe, and we show up how we show up, but it's not. We respect your right to be right.
Yeah, we ain't got no sales pitch.
Yeah.
We ain't got no sales pitch.
No, it's like this what I'm gonna do, this how I see it.
Is you with me?
Yeah, that's it. And if you're not, that's all right, because we're not gonna be together on everything.
That's right.
But the things that we are together on, we're gonna make sure that we're together on those things. And so we'll be inviting you to the conversation. Actually save the date. So the first one will be in St. Pete at Central Station Barbershop. We're looking at 6 o'clock on July 21st. And
shout out to T around the barbershop.
And Central Station is more than the barbershop.
Book club.
Man, it's so much going on at Central Station.
We got to get Duke more involved.
Yeah, we really do.
So I hate to just put the spotlight down. We got to find a way to engage Duke, because there's so much amazing things going on, and I think it'll only be great synergy and energy around it.
Real talk. And so again, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. That is a great point to end on, because that's what we absolutely intend to do with this conversation. So again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John.
And I am the one and only Mr. Edmund.
And we out.
Street.
Coordinating.
What's up?